And then since I was doing well, I got the opportunity, if I wanted to transfer to a lower security facility
Yeah.
at Leavenworth. And I could have just stayed where I was at, but the transfer process took quite a while, several months of me being on buses and airplanes, uh, and just like being locked up, and so that was not fun. That was very uncomfortable, but I'm glad I went through it because it got me to the where I was supposed to be.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's so interesting. It's so interesting. Like a lot of us have struggled through things. For me, it hasn't been in my adult life though. Like my dad was an alcoholic. My mom and dad together made like $15,000 a year. That's what I kind of like ascended out of, but it's of course like everybody has gone through things, but not like that. Like that is huge. How did you, do you mind me asking if at any time you feel uncomfortable, just tell me to fuck off. How did you get into selling drugs?
So I worked in corporate America for a technology company doing outside sales here in Kansas City. So I'd go and give business presentations to businesses around the city. And then we did really, our company was doing really good for several years right out of college. I was making really good money. So that leads to that, boiler room mentality where you work hard in the morning, you play hard in the
Play hard
afternoon.
at night.
Yeah, play hard
Hmm.
at night. And then so you see where this is going. One thing leads to another. We like to do drugs, but many times we couldn't get them conveniently. So I decided, oh, I'm just going to go get a bunch, keep it around, and then when we want it, we can do it. Well, that's that was the beginning of bad habits right there. And so then
Yeah.
I had it, then I could sell some, and I had a bunch of it, um, and then pretty soon I was making a bunch of money from that, not even
Yeah.
meaning to. And then I was like, then you start to slack off. It's a bad,
Of
yeah.
course, anybody would.
Mhm.
Just so that you understand, like I've been in corporate America. I run in these days, I started off in a factory, but these days I support CEOs, CFOs, whatever. Like I do all their budgeting, forecasting. And even though those guys might not be doing cocaine, they're definitely on Adderall or something, right? Like
Right, right.
there's no way that you can work 18 hours a day and still be going, no going, like, and like whatever. I don't know. It's just they do it legally.
Yeah, half a
I
bottle
think it's
or a
very
bunch of
common.
Adderall during the day and then a half bottle of bourbon at night to go to sleep, and then so that's hard on the
Rinse,
heart.
repeat,
Yeah,
rinse, repeat. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, they don't care. If it's going to make you $10 million that year and $10 million next year and $10 million a year after that, maybe that's the chance you're willing to take. I don't know, but I'm sick of it. I've had enough. And the doggy daycare is fun, but like I can't see that completely fulfilling me. So I'm like, you know what? I think it's time to see if I can do the same thing for entrepreneurs that I do for CEOs. Like, right? That makes sense.
I think that's more meaningful.
It's so much more meaningful, right? Instead of buying a yacht, right? Instead of helping the CEO buy a yacht, I can help an entrepreneur send his child through college without loans, for instance, like
Yeah,
so much more impactful to me.
mhm. And most
So,
entrepreneurs get into it because it's something they love, and so and if all of a sudden you're not doing good at something you love, it's frustrating, and if you can help them through
yeah,
that, that's really cool.
exactly. And so what I'm finding just through this process actually is when people hit probably about the eight or 900,000 mark, maybe like 1 million, and there is no chance of like scaling, making any more without like building a proper team and putting in really good systems. And it doesn't matter what the service or product is. Like really, it's most of the time extremely hard to scale. And so when someone catches lightning in a bottle, they're like, "Oh my God, like what shelf? What do I do now? Like what do I do now with all this money?" And they either spend it and don't grow, but right, do
Mhm,
you know what I mean? Spend it on lavish things, work
mhm.
18 hours a day. That's not fun. Or they just start throwing things at the wall to see what sticks. Hopefully, if I can find some of them and they can find me, I can help them do strategic, financial planning instead and allow their profits to fuel growth. And if you know how to do it, you can I mean, nothing fuels growth faster than money.
Hmm.
So many of us are out here bootstrapping, on Facebook trying to get organic traffic because we don't have the profit to be able to do it with. But if you have the profit to do it and you can, pay for the right kind of advertising, put it in the right places, like sky is the limit. So
Hmm.
anyway, I guess we'll see. But so I want to hear more about your microgreens though. Like I want to hear all about it.
Well, cool. So
How much are you? Yeah, just tell me everything.
recently in January, I started. Okay, so I started. I've been growing them since I learned about them in prison. Weird story. I learned about microgreens specifically when I grew radishes and I was thinning them out in the field. And they get to be this big and they're all bunched together. You thin them out so they grow better.
Yeah.
And I was like, huh, I wonder if this is good. So I ate one, and it was just like this big. Wasn't even the radish. It was just the greens. And
Yeah.
I was like, that tastes good. That's real.
Right?
And I was like, I wonder if that's healthy. I started looking it up a little bit and I found out that it was a whole thing. I was like, oh, you can actually eat these plants when they're small and they're way healthier and they actually taste good.
Is
So
that right? I didn't
I
know
didn't,
that.
yeah. I mean, whether it's broccoli or pea shoots or sunflower or radish
Mm.
or any of these little plants, those are the main four right there. But like, um, they and I didn't realize they were as healthy as they are. And so I was in it because I was changing my life for the better because I've been unhealthy for a while. So anything I could do to help my health. And so anyway, and then the doctors were starting to say how good they are, and they recommended people that have esophagus problems and stomach problems. And anyway, so I was like, this is really cool. And so that's where I learned about them in prison. When I got out, I started growing them for myself, and I like to farm and do some things like that. But then I realized that I could make a business out of the microgreen thing. People have been telling me to do it for a long time, but I just didn't think that there was money in it until I started messing around in my garage, growing them, taking them to a farmer's market, and I'd make hundreds of dollars in a day. And I was like, ah, that's all
That's
right.
what I was gonna
Cool.
say, like, how do you monetize it?
So I started out by putting a just doing stuff on Facebook organically and then going to farmers markets. Through the farmers
Okay.
markets, I would meet people and I would say, hey, you don't have to come here to the farmers market once a week or twice a month. I can just grow and take a the meeting spot where I'd meet, five or six different
Okay.
people, have like a small, subscription type thing. And
Mm,
so but that's still small time, but it's still something. And so
absolutely.
also, I would meet chefs or
Ooh,
local foodies, or people that had like little YouTube channels in Kansas City that
yeah,
would, they'd grow things and make things and eat things. And so I thought and it was a whole little world that I didn't even know about. But I
yeah.
first knew I could make money at it when somebody said there's a chef and their microgreen dealer quick grow microgreens. And so they said, can you grow beet and cilantro microgreens? And I hadn't grown either of those. And I thought, well, why would you want microgreen cilantro? Cilantro's cheap and you can get it at the store and it's
Yeah.
whatever. And they said, no, we want the microgreens. And so they convinced me because I finally tasted them and there's just like an enormous different taste. And
Really?
they I couldn't believe it. I could not even believe it. Yeah. The taste is way better, way fresher. I mean, enormously. And then like the way they use them to on their tacos, it just looked cooler. You didn't have to chop up the
Yeah.
for whatever reason, I just saw how they were doing it and the pictures they were sharing on their social media and all this stuff. And so I bought some seeds, I grew them, and I figured out the cost. And so for every ounce, if I sold it for $3 an ounce, and it only cost me about 44 cents per ounce.
Yeah.
So if you're selling hundreds of ounces a week, and you start seeing the profit possibilities there. And so
For
um,
sure. Wow. That's a really high. I didn't expect the profit margin to be that high. It's amazing.
if, if you do it correctly, you can mess
Yeah,
up and lose money. And just like anything else, you can
sure.
lose real easy. But if you do it right, you're systematic about it. You buy your seeds in bulk, all the things, all the things you
Yeah.
need to do in business but you can get your profit margin up pretty good. So that's when I thought, okay, and you can control the environment. They grow in like a week. So there's a whole
Yeah.
turnover, turnover, turnover. It's not like if you're farming corn and you got like
Right. Month.
once a year you get corn and
Right.
then that's it. And then well, next year I'm going to try this. Well, that year it was way hotter and there was not enough water and so your
Right.
corn's so well, I'll try this next year. Well, that year you had a bunch of bugs that, whatever. So
Right.
but if say I messed up on the cilantro, well, I just messed up. I'll try it again next week and just
That is so cool. I wanna go buy a bunch of seeds in bulk now. So which ones did you say you do?
so I started out just doing broccoli, I'm sorry, broccoli, sunflower, radish, and pea. Those four, I
Okay.
call those the Mount Rushmore of microgreens because
Okay.
all those are fairly easy to grow. People are used to those, you're used to broccoli and radish, you're used to the
Yeah,
flavors of
sure.
those, and they're pretty healthy. And
Okay.
they go with lots of dishes. And so I started selling those at the farmers markets. I started a social media page, and I quickly got several hundred followers because I started sharing uh, recipes on, in Kansas City, like, oh, you
Oh,
can put this, you can put broccoli microgreens on your pasta, and you can put
wow.
sunflower shoots in any kind of soup you make, or you can, the radish are really good in eggs. And so, and I put little recipes out there and people were sharing them around, and it was kind of a little mini influencer type thing. So,
That is
uh,
so cool.
yeah. So I just like it because I don't want to learn how to grow the best everything else, tomatoes and watermelons and squash or whatever. That's too
Right.
much. That's too much. So if I just really get good at this, I think
Yeah.
that, and I think it's working. Yeah.